later on today. So welcome all of you. For those of you who are watching on Facebook Live or later on listening on, well, no, they won't hear this. Podcast won't hear this. So YouTube. So if those are you that are watching on YouTube, know that today this is my last show before I have my explantation surgery. And with everything I've done so far, I include you in the process. And so this is no different. You will be a part of this journey with me, and you will be a part of those people that have been my angels during this process as well. So I ask that you take and find some paper, go get your pens, and take lots of notes. Good thing you'll be able to watch this over and over and over again, because it is time to take our health back. So fasten your seatbelts and let's grow together. It's time to dance, everybody. Matt, more than a head bop this time.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air in this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been listening or watching the show since 2011, or maybe just tuned in yesterday for the first time, welcome back. But if this is the first time that you have stumbled upon the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place you can come to when you need a friend. It is my promise to provide, or my commitment to provide, alternative ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now today we have two treats, because we have Liberty HealthShare and Cassie Carter, who is coming on in the classroom to share her her journey with breast implant illness. Many of women who have breast implant illness don't know that the symptoms are associated with their implants. It could be that you go to your doctor and they tell you that you have a thyroid condition, or maybe your hair is falling out, or maybe you have heart palpitations, or maybe you have an autoimmune disease, and they're all treatable, right? But what's the root cause? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to prepare for how to do your research and what to do after. And so we also, and I've told you that there have been many, many angels in my journey. Liberty HealthShare has also been an angel to me as well. So I'm honoring these angels today as we prepare to go through this journey of explant surgery. So Cassie Carter, as well as Matt Bellis of Liberty HealthShare. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that both Cassie and Matt are here to do just that. Welcome, guys, to the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to shorten that. I'm going to do an acronym for the show. But so let's begin, Matt, because I know before we got started off the air, I said to you, this journey would have been horrid without Liberty HealthShare. You talk about how there's support and how this is a community where we help one another. And I have lived it time and time again. And I've been talking and bragging about it, Liberty HealthShare. So how did you and how have you been able to create this environment of heart-centered living or a heart-centered business?
Well, it's interesting that you put it in those terms because we knew early on in 2010, I have to say my family has been a part of healthcare sharing since the early 80s, but we knew whenever the country was starting to talk about healthcare and government's role in healthcare and how people should respond to that and all those kinds of things, we knew that there was a big conversation that wasn't happening. And that conversation was, how do you give more power back to the individual patient? If you want to affect change within a large system, you need to go as granular as possible. And within the medical world, the only way that you're really going to affect true change and give people something that they would want within healthcare is not to focus on oversweeping, bureaucratizing, medicine. It is in empowering the patient with their healthcare. And that meant putting every patient in charge as a self-pay patient. Yet during those times that are unexpected and unaffordable, surround them with a community of people who are there to support them and to give them funds whenever they have those medical needs. And so what we try to do is within this community, support the individual by community standards of mutual aid, mutual support, voluntary giving. That's who we are as an organization. And Liberty HealthShare, frankly, is just here to make sure those relationships happen. We're the ice cream social, so to speak, where we bring all of our members together to share in each other's medical expenses. It's not Liberty HealthShare helping Lillian McDermott. It's Cassie Carter helping Lillian McDermott. It's Matt Bellis helping Lillian McDermott. It's individuals sharing with other individuals. Yeah. And that is such a change in how you approach healthcare, but it's made all the difference.
It's interesting, when people don't know, and I think I'm on my 4th year with Liberty HealthShare. And it was scary. And I'll be honest with all of you who are watching. And by the way, thank you so much for sending so much love and acknowledging. I've had so many questions in the last 2-3 weeks about Liberty HealthShare and wanting to learn more. So I thought, let's get down to basics here about Liberty HealthShare. When Matt is talking about Cassie or Matt or paying for my medical bills, this is really organized. And I said this before, Matt, and I hope this isn't disrespectful in any way, but it's not like I'm offended.
Go ahead.
It's not like I'm going on my neighbor's door and going, hey, can you spare a dime?
Right.
It's $1 million per incident. This is an organized corporation, 501c3, right? You guys are 501c3, right, Matt? Yes.
Yeah, we're a 501c3 nonprofit healthcare sharing ministry.
Okay, so they have organized themselves to be the change that we need in society today. So what I'm trying to say by that is, once my out-of-pocket expenses are met for a single, it's $1,000. Liberty HealthShare and all the members of Liberty HealthShare are there to support each other 100%. Of course, you need approval. There's certain things that you have to go through, just like you would with insurance, but you still have that support of that community. I have a Tracy Hughes. I have to mention her name again. She's my advocate and my angel at Liberty HealthShare. Matt, share about, how much does it cost for a single, a couple, and a family to be a member of Liberty HealthShare, and what does that membership bring them?
Sure. If you were to join Liberty HealthShare, we have a number of programs I would just say research those, make sure it's a good fit for you and find the right one. But for our most comprehensive program, our singles can join Liberty HealthShare at $299 per month for our suggested monthly share amount. Couples $399 per month. And for a family of 3 or more, mom, dad, all the kids, that would be $529 per month for your suggested monthly share amount. And that's the amount of money each month that you pay to another individual. You go through the Liberty HealthShare systems, everything's online, you do it there, but it is towards another individual. Again, you're only paying Liberty HealthShare a small admin fee, but the majority of that funds is going right to the individual to help pay for their medical expenses.
Yeah, and how many individuals and how many members and how many neighbors are now looking at my bill? So how many members do you have at Liberty HealthShare?
We're nationwide in all 50 states, about 250,000 members.
So I want people to get a bigger picture that this is not me knocking on somebody's door going, "Sir, can you spare a dime?" or a sign that says, "We'll work for, food." It means that we have an organization who has taken the time to make sure that we all have the same focus, which is to take care of one another, but we're responsibly doing so. Let's talk about this third-party system and how we've lost sight and connection, Matt, with the cost of healthcare today.
Well, it's interesting when you say third-party pay system, not a whole lot of people know a lot of what that means. And basically what that means is the person who is receiving the services is not the one who is in charge of paying. It is an insurance company, the government, other systems where you are not responsible, so to speak, for the bill. And that leads to a lot of problems within the healthcare industry. The biggest, and I would say foremost of those problems, is that it removes the individual patient from the understanding of cost, from their freedom within healthcare, their choices in healthcare. The patient's not really able to choose what doctor or hospital they're able to see. The patient under a third-party pay system doesn't know what something is going to cost. So if you're going in there not knowing what's going to cost, people are making decisions for you, what actually ends up happening is you get to be a dependent, entitled person. You have paid your premium, you pay whatever you can, and you just show up and, hey, just give me whatever's coming to me. And that breeds improper, irresponsible decisions, which has led to the catastrophic rise of healthcare costs.
Yes.
And so when we say about empowering individuals, that's what we mean. Making individual patients responsible, as we're all cash pay patients within Liberty HealthShare. We're all each individually responsible for our healthcare. That gives us freedom. That gives us decision-making power. That gives us the power of the purse strings. But during those times that are unexpected and unaffordable, just like, unfortunately, the surgery that you might have to go through here, Lily, that's when we come together and support you in your time of need to help pay for those medical expenses that affect you.
Yes. And, you don't get that kind of language with an insurance company. No one's ever called me after a hurricane just to see if I'm okay. And they don't even know that Liberty HealthShare is a sponsor of the classroom. They don't even know this because I don't tell them. Because I'm just, as far as they're concerned, I'm a member, but I'm also an advocate of the people. So they don't even know. And so that's what I love about Liberty HealthShare, Matt. And I wanted to say thank you for picking the right people that have a heart-centered view of how a patient needs to be treated, or a member needs to be treated. I give the example that, when I go buy a car, I never go to the place where I know is going to cost me the most. I might go there just to get an idea how to drive the car or whatever, kick the tires, but I'm going to go to the place that is going to give me the best price. And why can't we do that with our own health care? And so another thing I love about Liberty HealthShare is, when I was with my insurance, I could not choose to go to acupuncture or a chiropractor or an alternative doctor because it wasn't covered. So I'm paying these co-pays and deductibles for something I'm not going to ever use. Or, unless I get into a car accident, which I did use it then. So those are the things that we need to stop, reframe the thinking, rewrite the program, and consider Liberty HealthShare as a possibility that might support you today. So Liberty HealthShare is 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. And that's libertyhealthshare.org. You can go to whenyounneedafriend.com, click on the sponsors page, which I talk to you about every day that I'm in the classroom. Click on it, go to the Liberty HealthShare icon, and we've made it very simple. If you're interested in it, click on it, and there's like a little questionnaire there. You fill in your information, send it to them, and they'll call you. That's the way I've set it up.
I'll be doing it next.
Well, we got to do this. We got to do this. So, this is a wonderful, I just want all of you to consider it as an option and then make your own choice. It's called informed choice, right, Matt?
That's right. It's very important for people who want to join Liberty HealthShare to fully understand what it is because it is so different. So take the time, look over it, and if it seems like a good fit for you, come and join us.
Come and join us. Hey, I'm a member of that team. So thank you so much, Matt, for coming on. And I just, could you relay to all the people, Ashley, who's the supervisors of the nurses, Tracy Hughes, Patrice, who was a major part of this as well. So this is all me saying thank you and sending love to Liberty HealthShare, not only as you being my sponsor, but as a member as well of 4 years, even before you became a sponsor or even thought about it. So thank you so much, Matt, and have a wonderful, the best day. Have the best day
ever.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much.
HealthShare. That's 855-58-LIBERTY, 855-585-4237. Go to libertyhealthshare.org, or if you go to whenyounneedafriend.com on my website, click on to sponsors page, click on the Liberty HealthShare icon, and you can enter your phone number and they will call you. That easy. Just consider it. It's really easy to just put things aside, just like switching conversations, breast implant illness. Thank you, Matt. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Matt. Bye.
So here's the thing. When something is obvious in your life and it appears, but you don't see it, it wasn't your time. It just isn't your time. But then when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so today we're going to switch now, and I'm going to go back and say, that during this process of discovery that I do have breast implant illness. And of course, as mentioned, 1995 was my first experience with implantation. And of course, I've had certain moments in my life where I've had to revise, redo, whatever it is.
Right.
But along the way, there are some symptoms, like I said at the beginning of the class, that doctors can just write a script for.
Well, you just misdiagnose and you just miss and you just think it's something else, and you just are told it's something else. That's
right. That's right. So this is where my health journey begins without even knowing. And so once you're learning, the car accident that I had 2 years ago made me aware that something was going on in my left breast, but I didn't associate that with any other symptom other than the pain that I've experienced, that MRIs and also ultrasounds and all the testing that I've done, blood work, all the symptoms that have been tested, everything has been fine. I'm healthy. I eat healthy. I think healthy. I'm happy. I live a responsible life. I'm empowered. I make choices for me.
All of those things too.
That's right. No reason to be sick. So now enters the reality and all these angels that come. Cassie Carter is one of those angels that I want to talk to you about. Her journey is even probably 10 times worse than mine. probably, I can't even go there.
I can't even fathom it. So I still can't fathom it.
Yes. So here's this beautiful woman who is very successful. She on her own has so many, and I'll let her tell you about herself. But today we're going to talk about not only her journey, but she's going to give us tips. And I'm going to share some of my tips too about this journey. So without further ado, thank you so much, Cassie, for not only being my new sister, but also an advocate for women who have breast implant illness. So welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so happy for you. And tomorrow is your big day. So super pumped for you because I know you're on your journey back to getting your life back. So it's definitely starting tomorrow for you.
It is. And, many people ask me, and this morning I went to the beach. For those of you who caught my sunrise or my clouds that covered the sunrise, it was so true, Cassie. Like I went to the beach and there were these huge clouds and you could see the light behind it. And that's basically how I feel right now. The surgery is the clouds.
Yes.
And I am looking at the light behind the clouds. So anybody who's asking me, are you excited about the surgery? Or what do you think about the surgery? Or asking me about the surgery? I'm like, I'm not looking at the clouds. I'm looking at the sunrise. I'm looking at the optimal health, because if I do look at the surgery, I would be throwing up right now because I know what's ahead.
We can't fathom it. I mean, a lot of women go into getting implants, and as they get implants, we go in to get them. We don't get them to get them out. And a lot of people mistake that, and they think that we want to go through this and we want, attention sometimes when we go to doctors, and we're crying out for all sorts of just, somebody just give me attention here or whatever the scenario is, when so many people have so many symptoms that are mimicking exactly identical symptoms, but we all have one thing in common, and that is the breast implants. And so that is where, my story kind of comes into play. And I would say I was about, I was in 1998 first implanted with saline implants, and I had those, and I was 21 years old, I believe. And I loved them at first when I got them, but they contracted right away, and the doctor told me it was normal. And I didn't know. He was telling me to sleep on the floor, to harden them up. It'll soften them. So I'm sleeping on the floor. I'm following all this doctors. I didn't know I was in the middle of a trial era. Like, they never told me these things. And so I left them in for 8 years and didn't know. I ended up, having my second son. And my second son, I ended up catching milk fever after I delivered him. And I was stuck in the hospital 2 extra days. And that was more excruciating pain than the C-section itself, because it's basically a fever of the breast milk that comes on.
Wow.
And so I had to ice, and they were bringing ice every 10 minutes, and my breasts were completely engorged to a size XXX. I mean, they were hurting so bad and so large. And so I finally get home with my baby, and I started noticing, things. I mean, I had noticed some things happen off and on, but I always wrote them off as something strange or weird and an odd thing happening. Maybe I didn't rest enough or whatever the case was, why I was having nervousness or little anxiety or sleepiness, fatigue, just those things. So that's basically, where my first set started with. And then I lost my eyesight for 4 months completely, with doctors giving me no answers. I had CAT scans, I had MRIs, they did everything and said I was a medical mystery. I was a medical mystery, and I have been now basically for the past 20 years of implants, and that's what I've been told. So 4 months I was blind, and then after 4 months I had miraculously had 3 days after I said a prayer, my eyes restored, and I completely had my eyesight restored. And I have had symptoms where my eye has shutters shut down. I have now found out that's heavy metal toxicity causing that, though, from what's inside the implants. even though these were saline, they were still giving me problems. And so I went in 2004, before implants were even, the silicone were even, like approved. I was implanted with them without being told that I was getting silicone until I woke up. And they weren't even approved until November of 2006. And he said that my body rejected the saline ones, and so he put silicone ones in. That was a decision he made under the knife whenever I was asleep.
During the moratorium where they weren't allowing silicone to be put back into the body?
It was not approved until November of 2006 by the FDA for silicone to be implanted again.
Interesting, because they did that with me in 2001. So I went from 1995 with saline with the contracture, and I was getting the capsule contracture, and they kept popping it and popping it. And then and then the doctor said, in order for that to stop, you need to put it under the muscle and do silicone. But I thought it was legal in 2001. It's all on, you can look on the FDA website yourself. It's 2006 of November that they were, or 2000 and, did I say 2004? I think it's 2006 that it was approved, and it was in November. And they were not, since the 90s cases when all of that stuff fell apart, that was basically when it happened. So I was implanted basically 6 months prior, but I never knew till recently that there was actually a trial of 40 to 50,000 people that had to be tested with these implants. And I never knew because they never told me. I was one of their kind of lab rat guinea pigs for the 40, 50,000. Wow.
And so apparently you were too.
Yes.
And so, and so there we have it. And so we know now, but I ended up having, I'm like you, I worked out a lot all the time. I ate healthy. I lived a very full life. I'm a very energetic person. I love life. I've traveled the world, done a lot of amazing things, seen a lot of amazing things. My husband is an NBA player for 14 years. He's been a coach now for 5 in the NBA. And, him seeing my health decline and having 2 kids in school, it was really hard for them to watch this happen. But it started more so when I was on a trip to overseas. My heart was really palpitating, and I had been complaining, but I had all these records of 12 years of complaints. As I look back, I'd been complaining the whole time since I had implants, and I never even realized it until the moment came when Dr. Horowitz, when I was chasing the Lyme disease path, and I was like, I believe I have Lyme disease. I have all the symptoms of Lyme disease. And I told him I had breast implants, Dr. Horowitz. And he said, take them out. They are destroying your immune system. Take them out. So immediately he told me, let me see, if I can find out, who the best doctor is. And so he had somebody else reach out to me who sent me Dr. Fang's information. And I jumped on the phone right away, made my appointment like you. I looked past the clouds and sunshine, and all I could think about was getting my life back and starting to live normally again. But prior to this, a lot of people don't know the misdiagnosis is, as they see me sitting here now today, they don't know that the couple things that led up prior to that, trying to search for that answer. And I can sum that up really quick in like 20 seconds. It was basically a matter of, I was diagnosed with WPW, Wolff-Parkinson's White syndrome. And that's a little lesion you're born with on your heart. It can cause palpitations. I found out most people are born with this, and it can redirect the heart and start making it beat and skip beats if it starts redirecting through that extra nerve. Instead of going around, it goes and sometimes to that little extra nerve instead and skips a beat. Well, I never had that my whole life, so it just started randomly. And I was like, that's weird. Why didn't it start as a child if I was born with this? And nobody else in my family has ever had this problem. And so I was told I needed to do an ablation. So I did an ablation on my heart, and I guess they pumped something inside of there. So my heart pumped up so fast, I woke up out of the anesthesia. And it was a quick surgery. It took him 10 minutes, I think. And 2 weeks later, I was supposed to go in. Everything was supposed to be settled, and that was supposed to be the end of it. I thought that was going to be the end of it. I never knew that was the very beginning of the whole thing. It was literally the beginning. I go in, and I'm shaking like this. My hands are shaking. I actually went into a thyroid storm. And next thing I know, they tell me, I had to ask the doctor to test me for my thyroid because she didn't ever test my thyroid or anything in the midst of me going in every week for complaints. Yeah. And so she never checked it. So I asked her to check it since a friend told me to check it, and her husband's a doctor. And so she checked it, and my TSH was 0.01. And which means I'm hyperthyroid, and she says I'm hypothyroid. So it shows you she wasn't the best doctors, in my opinion, and I'm sure many others, as their practice has decreased and I'm not sure exists anymore. Mm-hmm. So next thing you know, I had to have an ultrasound. I get to an endocrinologist, and they check my ultrasound, and they see a little lesion there, and they tell me,
thyroid or in your heart, in your thyroid?
Yeah, on my thyroid. So they checked it, and they said, we're going to do some blood work on you. You do have a little lesion, 1.2, 1.3 centimeters. People with Graves' disease don't really get cancer, less than 2%. So we're not really worried about it. And I was like, well, if it's a growth, I want to check it. If I don't want anything in my body that doesn't belong, if it's a growth. And so I biopsied it. Well, they made a mistake on the biopsy, and they didn't test one thing. So I had to go back under again and do another biopsy, which is traumatic in itself because you have to needle an ultrasound and have it all stuck in your neck, and it's right near your vocal cords and everything. And so they did that twice, and it came back positive for the papillary thyroid cancer, which the Mayo Clinic is now calling a lesion to be watched, simply because they are aggressively treating and removing thyroids for this particular cancer, and they're doing it too aggressively. They ended up at that point saying, I had Graves' disease. So with Graves' disease, you have two options. You take out the thyroid, or you do RAI, radiation on your thyroid to kill it, to, so your immune system will stop attacking it. So I had a whole thyroidectomy, and he goes in there and also removes 18 lymph nodes as well. So it's called a partial neck dissection. And so I asked for a picture of my thyroid because I was like, this is crazy. I can't see, nobody in my family's ever had thyroid problems in their lives. And so they put me on, they took my thyroid out. They did a transplant on my parathyroid. And so I have a couple parathyroids and one transplant in my neck. And then all of this is all missing out of my neck now. And I have not been able to get that balanced out because I've never been able to get to the bottom root cause of the problem. Initially, they were all misdiagnoses. I went to the Mayo Clinic. I got diagnosed with 8 autoimmune diseases. They sent me away with no help, no doctor to go to, no answers besides, the paperwork that I went home with. And that was it. Go home, find your own doctors, take your own medicines, do whatever. This is what we think you have. They diagnosed me with lupus, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, POTS, reactivated EBV, and mycoplasma pneumonia. So those are the things that I was left with to go with. I passed out. I fainted at the hospital, and that was basically it. So I came home, and that's where, of course, I kept doing my research at that point. And I got on the point where I did thousands of hours of research, and I was told to take doxycycline for the Lyme disease. I take the doxycycline, and my whole left breast, who, by the way, I had complained for four entire years of this one changing form. And she says I was just losing breast tissue. Well, she didn't know, apparently I was a very small tissue breasted person anyway, so I don't know how I could lose much to begin with. But I didn't know I have bottomed out is what it is. It's called bottoming out, and you break through the muscle. So the implant actually breaks through the muscle. So I am, at that point now where I take the doxycycline for the Lyme, and I had a bunch of lumps break out on that left breast. And I knew at that point, I said I had to tell Dr. Horowitz about it. And that's when he said, take the breast out, and that's where all of that came about. So here I am today, and I have struggled to regain my health back because of the aggressive thyroid removal. I think I would have had a much quicker recovery, a much quicker process had it not been for the thyroid removal and the misdiagnosing and not getting to the underlying cause, as we just discussed, in the conversation you said with, earlier, that like, this is something that needs to be discussed more, that patients need to make themselves more aware of the power they have over their health.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at today.
And thank you so much for sharing your story. But the story continues, and this is where, this is where the power of information, informed choice. So she went through all of that, and I've gone through my journey too. But fortunately for me, I was already in the holistic, alternative, functional, and knowing all the teachers that we've learned from in the classroom. I refused to take any medication. I refused anything because I knew you didn't know at the time. You were trusting your doctors that's what we are told to do. And so with me, it wasn't that it was just, it didn't make sense to me anymore. It would have had this journey, if this would have been me maybe 10 years ago, and I still am moving forward without the information from the classroom, I probably would have been medicalized. I would have, the moment you go under the knife and you get cut up or reopened or whatever that is, you can't take your thyroid back.
I can't. That's one thing I can't get back. I'll never be able to get that back, and I will forever be on thyroid medicine for the rest of my life, trying to regulate it along with my adrenals and everything else now that it's attached to the endocrine system.
That's right.
So it's very important that you get the correct diagnosis on these things. And that's where we need to start focusing on, is educating these, people who have these, that this is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen to every single woman who has them.
Yes.
It's not a matter of if, but when.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're melting in your body. Both of my sets, I have both of my post and pre-op, papers. Both of them went in weighing more than they came out weighing. And so that means they were melting down to my cellular level because I had no leaks and I had no ruptures.
Yeah.
And there is not that it just dissolve.
Yes.
And so I know for a fact they melt to the cellular level. They get in your cells. And they can even change your DNA, your very DNA, when it starts changing your cellular.
And when it changes your DNA, it changes your future, your children's future, your grandchildren's future. So this is why we're doing the classroom today. And because we had to I wanted to get some of her background so that you would understand that this wasn't, her situation was much worse than mine. And it's only because of where we were at when we learned about what was happening, when we were experiencing the symptoms, when we were aware of the symptoms. And so that's why taking ownership and stepping back and saying, I need to take my life back, because right now what's happening is not making me feel better. And if any of you are in that place where you're thinking you're not feeling better, then, this is where we stop. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, stay connected to the classroom. And Liberty HealthShare is a sponsor. These are people who have said, these are companies, organizations, people that have said, I'm standing next to you and I am for informed choice. And we're going to bring information that you might not see anywhere else in the media. And the reason why is because I'm not sponsored by anyone else that would give me a conflict of interest, would say, oh, you can't talk about that. Oh, I'm talking about everything and anything that needs to create awareness so that we wake up. So go to whenyounneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. While you're there, please check out all the social media, YouTube, follow, like, subscribe there. Then look at the little icons. Go to my sponsors page where you will find the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation, which I founded many years ago. We're still trying to get that off the ground. We're with Liberty HealthShare, libertyhealthshare.org, Keep Me Safe Organics, if you think that toxicity and your toxins are under the cabinet and you're cleaning with them, think again. Your makeup, your beauty products, Keep Me Safe Organics is standing next to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom. First Alternative Care, check that out. Yes, Dr. Stephen Grable, he was the doctor who took the time to write a letter of medical necessity in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Worth the drive to learn the root cause of all your symptoms. He doesn't just treat the symptoms, he treats the individual. And he is not only an MD, but that MD also stands for a medical detective. The pharmacy in Merritt Island, and Live Longer Medical, who wants you to look as beautiful on the inside as you are and radiant on the outside. So those are the sponsors that have taken a stand and hold my hand, but you too can do that. You can become a student of the classroom and an enrolled student. Go check it out so that you can help out with funding so that the classroom will grow. The best way you can help, whether if it's not with Treasure, you can also share and like and follow and tell your friends to do the same. So I wanted to let you know that this is where we do take ownership and responsibility. And part of that journey of learning about breast implant illness is stopping. And so I asked Cassie, and I know that we have about 20 minutes left for the podcast, but if we don't get to all of them, just know we're going to continue on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, and we'll also record it for YouTube. One last thing is that I asked Cassie to talk about pre-op, to make us aware of the things we need to do pre-operative, and then the things we want to do after surgery. So that's what we're going to talk about next. But before we do that, I told Cassie I want to share my pre-op, the stuff that I wanted to talk about real quick. And Cassie, is there anything you want to add before I start with that?
I just think what you just said is very important. It's very important that we go and we educate ourselves on our own health, because nobody's going to take care of ourselves better than ourselves. And so it's very important that we actually do our research on doctors. We make sure that any doctor, if they are going to explant you, they have hospital rights, because if you want to choose that option, they can do your surgery in a hospital. This is a very complex surgery, and you have to have a certified surgeon who does this and has done many. So make sure no matter what you do, there is lists out there available where you can find doctors who explant specifically, and they are amazing doctors who only do this, and these are the doctors you want. Don't settle for a doctor saying, "Oh, I'm going to go in there," because if they leave some of that capsule behind, then you're going to be stuck being sick with heavy metals and toxicity and so forth. So just make sure to do your research and your own homework on your own health, because nobody else is going to do it for you. That's the only thing I wanted to add in on what she just stated.
That's very important. Very important. Part of the pre stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, just know that if you have a question about anything we say, or if you're watching later on on YouTube, but type in a capital Q and write your question down. I'll be alerted that there's a question, and we'll address them at the moment we can. So the pre-op here, and also tell us where you're from, where you're watching from as well. And thank you so much for your support today. So my pre, I mentioned this before in the other shows, other classes, other lessons that we've done, where I was sharing my story. I've brought people in to share their story. Doctors, Jeff Rose, who was my advocate, is my advocate with Dr. Rankin at Aqua Plastic Surgery. Amazing. Yes. Well,
you're with a good team.
Yes, they are a good team. And so I'm going to be very intimately connected with them tomorrow. So the first thing I would say for pre stuff that we need to talk, it's the research. And I'm acknowledging what you said, Cassie. That is very important. There are two websites that I want to encourage you to go to. That's breastimplantillness.com and healingbreastimplantillness.com. Those are the two websites. And to reiterate and confirm what Cassie is saying, microplastic surgeon. In those two websites that I shared with you, it'll tell you some of those doctors that are explant specialists, but check them out. Yeah. you check them out. Like Dr. Rankin is highly recommended as an explant surgeon. There might not be, they might be on that list, but they may not be highly recommended, or they might be recommended. So those are some questions that you need. There's lots of questions that you need to ask these doctors as well. So I've waited 6 months for explantation. I've just come out of the closet this last month or so, but I just want you to know that for 6 months, I've known that I have a possible ruptured left breast or a possible capsular rupture. And so I really don't know what's been happening. So talk about positive thoughts, positive thinking, stay focused on the sunshine, not the cloud in front of the sunshine, as I mentioned earlier. So make sure that you get a diagnosis of this condition. So this is when I went to Dr. Grable, who wrote a letter of medical necessity saying that this is breast implant illness, medical necessity to have these implants out. Then you contact your insurance. For me, it's Liberty HealthShare. And you start becoming your own advocate. This is a medical condition. Don't let them tell you that it is an elective procedure.
Right. I have the codes. I literally have the insurance codes that you need. You know, there is codes out there for contraction, for chronic inflammation that they cause, the CIRS. I mean, these are all, you have chronic inflammatory response, every single woman who has implants. I mean, so many people have no clue of what these things are actually doing and contributing to your health and your future health. And so it is important, you know, like what she was saying about your insurance, because she already has with Liberty, she's very blessed to have that. I'm over a year out and I am still going back and forth with my insurance, as they told me they would pay for it initially. I went on ahead and paid in advance for it, and I'm still waiting for a check in the mail. And so this is something that you need to make sure that you stay on and that you don't stop, because it is a medical condition. It is not something that we elect to get sick with. We elect to go in and we put them in and we pay to get them in. We don't elect to be told that they're safe and that they're going to make us sick later.
Yes.
We didn't elect for that.
Correct.
We elected to go and have this thing that we were told safe put in us, and that's what we did. And so it's just a matter of too much trust and then learning that, you know, we have to be our own educators at this point.
Absolutely. And Cassie, when I had my implants in 1995, and I started off with silicone over the muscle, I asked, because there was a moratorium with silicone, and so I only had saline as an option. And so I asked the doctor I asked them if the casing, the bag that has the silicone or the saline were different, because to me, it didn't make sense. And now I'm finding out that there are over 40 neurotoxins that create these bags. And when I was asking this question, I didn't know nothing about birthing no babies. So when I was like, back then, I asked the doctor about this, and he said, oh, those women that are like complaining about illnesses and all that stuff, they're just crazy money hungry women who have nothing better to do.
Complainers or seeking attention.
And you know what? He was my doctor. He wore a white coat. He must be right. And that's all I needed.
You know, they went to school, they educated themselves, they know the body. And so we think that, but we don't know that they're all reading from the same textbooks and they know the same exact knowledge and they know nothing outside of it.
Okay.
And
yes.
That's what they know and that's what they believe, and they will not stand on anything different.
That's right. That's right. So here we go. The other pre that I want to talk to you about, and Cassie has been a champion of this as well. Well, before I say that, fight for your rights. You might get a denial letter. Fight for your right. Make sure you have that medical necessity letter. Fight for your rights. And if you need any help, you can always reach out to me or Cassie to talk about that. Clean nutrition is a must. I've done fasting. I've done all these things. And it's about, making sure that processed sugars and all that junk is out of your body. And then plan for your surgery. And so this is where Cassie's going to come in with the pre-op and like clothing and a U-shaped pillow and the wedges and, the mindset the
Right.
mindset is crucial, so that you're not looking at the harshness of the surgery, you're looking at the sunrise behind the cloud. So with that, Cassie, I know that, and I'm going to ask Robert, we have, give us a little bit of extra time here. So Cassie, let's talk about the pre-op that we need to know. Let's go through those.
Okay. I mean, pre-op, there's some things that you want to like have ready prior. Your surgeon's going to usually give you a list to have, and they're going to have their own protocols. Each surgeon has their own protocol. Certain things work for different people, different ways, I'm certain, but I have found, I believe what works for most women, it's worked for every woman that I've worked with and helped to explant with. And I just wanted to share those tips today, and also hopefully, for Lillian as well, because she's explanting tomorrow. So grapeseed extract, there's a 300 milligrams 3 times a day. 2 weeks, if you start that 2 weeks prior to your explant, and you continue 6 weeks afterwards, it's going to help with, you take it on an empty stomach as well, but that's actually going to help to strengthen the integrity of like the capillaries. And so if anybody doesn't know what the capillaries are, it's like the blood vessels that form in between the arteries and the venules. And so it actually helps to strengthen those. And so you start that 2 weeks before, and then just continue on 6 weeks afterwards. So it's a total of eight weeks. I prefer, the brand Pure. I think Pure has a great brand of it. It's, you can find it online. You can usually find it in, any great place that has supplements, but I order everything from Amazon. It's easy for me. So it's super easy.
Okay.
Another pointer would be the Hibiclens. You've got to have the Hibiclens.
What is that? You wrote that. I don't know what that is.
It's a little blue bottle, and it's what they use it's a medical washing, for like, you don't use soap. It's a soap that you wash with, but it's a medical grade soap. You can get it at Walgreens, Walmart, Target, like any of those places. Some of the surgeons even carry it in their office, but you can get it in a little bottle or a big bottle if you want to continue with it. And you just really need to wash really good under the arms and the whole upper area up here the night before, and the morning of surgery. So you're going to do it the night before, and then you're going to pat yourself carefully dry with it. And then you're going to you can wash your whole body with it, by the way. But then you're going to in the morning do the same thing before surgery, or whatever time your surgery time is. So that's something that your surgeon will have you do. Every surgeon is going to have you do that. So that is one thing to have prepped and ready to go, so you can already, have it ready to go. I prefer, like, as I told Lillian prior, I went to Dr. Fang, who removed mine in Cleveland, and she's amazing. She did an excellent job. And she has a fit kitchen there, which is very important to have the nutritional side of it, because healing is going to depend on your drains coming out, how long they're going to come out, how much blood you're producing in there and, accumulating. And you really, the idea is to get them out, because we're not comfortable with them while they're there. And we want to be under 20 cc's when they're coming out. So I prefer the brand simply because I have looked and researched. I had it delivered in Cleveland to my hotel.
So that's the Hibiclens?
No, the Raw Generation is the brand I personally use, but there's other brands out there.
Oh, you're talking about the juicing.
The juicing. So we're going on. So Hibiclens is already done. We're already.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yep. So we've already covered that. Okay. So yep. So I personally like the Raw Generation because on Groupon they have a coupon for it, and they give you tons of juices that as you order it, they press it and they send it to you, and they flash freeze it, and it comes to you frozen. And you keep it frozen, and so it doesn't lose its nutrients. And you put them in the freezer, and you pull out what you're going to drink a day, and you put it inside. like the refrigerator, and yes, she's got it. And they're very tasty, and they're full of nutrients. They're full of every single thing you need. And a lot of us don't have a lot of appetites after surgery and anesthesia and stuff. And so it's really great. But for those who need stuff on their belly solid, you're going to have to stick to organic no matter what, whether it's salads, but no meat whatsoever. I would cut out anything, like I have a list, I know, of stuff that your doctors will probably provide for you to stop as well for foods. But there is foods that you need to stop. Meat is something that you do not need during your drain and healing time. And I would say up to 2 weeks after surgery, I would not do any meat. Yeah. And it's hard to digest, and your body, breaking it down is just much harder. Yeah. So I think, sticking to the juicing 3 to 5 days, from whether you want to do it for 3 to 5 days from 2 days prior or the day of your surgery, and then continue on it. Mm-hmm. But it's going to get those drains out much quicker.
I want to be the record for Dr. Rankin.
You can't do that. I've already done that because I did it within 24 hours with don't remove them before that.
I'm not going to need them then.
So that was my cousin, by the way, and she was a smoker, and she stopped smoking 2 weeks prior, and she stopped, any alcohol or anything 2 weeks prior. And it's also another pointer that we're going to talk on is that smoking, it can continue to cause you to bleed, and the drains can stay in for 2 weeks. I mean, it's not what you want. It can cause your healing process to slow down. It is like the worst thing you can think that you could do to your body on top of the implants. So smoking and drinking is something that you cannot have in your system. It needs to be completely detoxed out of your system if you do smoke and if you do drink alcohol.
Yes.
But like I said, the Raw Generation, you can go on their website. I don't work with them. I don't promote just like their brands, but there's lots of other brands out there if you prefer. And I would just say stick to those things and stick to them, very, 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 very
religiously.
well.
Religiously.
Yeah, religious is a good word. You want to make sure you stick to it and don't stop it. Another thing that I also told her to do, what is very important, is to buy some peas. I noticed that, because you come out and you're wrapped and everything, but you're swollen from the surgery itself, and you're sore. Even when you get implants, you're sore afterwards. And so you're sore after you take them out as well. But keep in mind, these implants are now attached to your rib cages and your vital organs. And so they have to cauterize and get all of that off of there. And so you can buy some peas. They're like 99 cents, 50 cents, 2 for $1 sometimes at Walmart. And you just I bought 4 bags just because 2, if they go, I leave them on, fall asleep, 2 bags, and then 2 more in the freezer ready. So those 2 can go back in, these 2 can go on. So I pretty much kept them on for 3-4 days. And it just was so comforting for me personally, and anybody else I've told to use them. They form really well, and you can crush them down, and they just form to any form of a breast. So
yeah. I'm going to go get my peas. Although I'm allergic to peas, I'm actually going to buy some more peas.
yeah. They'll be, sadly, they'll be in a plastic bag, but the good news is they'll be on the outside of your body, not on the inside.
Yes, exactly.
Another thing that you're going to need, and it's a must, is arnica. Okay, you can start it 2 days early, or you can start it the date of surgery after you're out of anesthesia. So Senec is the best brand on the market for arnica, and it's got clinical proven, science behind it, and it helps to reduce swelling, bruising. It helps to promote healing and all of that stuff much quicker. So you've got to make sure to have that arnica. Sometimes they have capsules, sometimes they have pellets that you dissolve under your tongue, whichever form you want. Just make sure that you have arnica, and you finish your bottle religiously until you're empty with your arnica bottle. Yes. You're going to need it.
I started taking Arnica Montana. Dr. Rankin suggested that I do this, and I started doing that as well. So
Good.
I'm just keeping an eye on the clock, and I know that we've only gotten through the pre-op right now. We're going to do 2 segments. We're going to continue recording after the podcast. And so we're gonna continue, and we'll be able to do the pre. We'll make this one the pre, and then the next one we'll make the post. So we'll do something with YouTube that way. So it'll be. But I just want to stop because we're going to be stopping the podcast in about a minute. And so I want to thank you, Cassie, for sharing your information. I know we still have more to talk about. And for those of you who are watching and being patient on Facebook.com/Lillian's radio show, I want to thank you for that. If you have a question, we're not done. We're going to continue our conversation. Type in a Q and then write your question. And if Cassie or I can address it, then we'll be more than happy to respond to it. But I'm going to continue doing this. I'm taking a stand for women need to know. And men also, you need to be aware that women are beautiful no matter what.
That's right.
Just because their breast size is larger doesn't mean that the relationship is better. And so honor the women's bodies just as they are so that we're not tempted. We have to take ownership of it too, to even look in that direction. Cassie, I'm so excited that I've met you through all of this. And there's so many blessings that have come from this, and that we're going to continue working together to empower women to learn a new truth about the body.
I won't stop.
We will continue. We'll be continuing. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Cassie Carter wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so thank you so much. We're going to continue talking pre-op so that the tape is going to be, the Facebook is going to be pre and post, but when it comes to podcasts, that's going to be pre, and then YouTube is going to be pre, and then we're going to stop the recording and start the recording again, and we're going to start and doing, but not for Facebook. Facebook will be consistent. So we're going to have several things this time because this is important. This is valuable information for people because Cassie, I don't know if you had a mentor saying, you know, these are the steps, these are the things you need to do. Let me hold your hand. You didn't.
Nobody. I had nobody. I had nobody along the way into my journey. I had nobody. Most people weren't even believing still that this was my problem because I had them so long. They still weren't. I still have people to this very day that don't believe this is the problem because I'm still not fully recovered, but I'm not fully recovered because of the aggressive misdiagnoses that they made.
Yeah, you were medicalized.
I was medicalized. Not only that, but I was planning my funeral last year. I was planning my own funeral. And that's how bad and how sick I got. I got so bad and so sick, and I had no answers. And if had it not been for me chasing that line path and had me going down that path, I would have never even probably got to this point until this year, possibly, when it's starting to be talked about a little bit more. But I still maybe wouldn't have believed it, possibly, because it's very hard for women to believe after they've had them for so long. But there's a point where we have to understand this isn't a matter of like coincidence. We are not all having the same problems just because, you know, we're just having the same problems and we all have implants. It is absolutely 100% the implants. And I never knew about the cases in the 90s when I got mine in, 1998. I never knew about that whole case thing that happened before that. I never knew when I used to see people walking around with pieces like this on their neck sliced. Those women all probably ended up having implants, and I didn't even probably know it, and they had their thyroid.
You know what? And you've got a valid point there. When I am looking at coaching now, and people are, wanting to get their health back or their life back or whatever it is, there's going to be an extra question, that I'm going to ask and it's about breast implants because, when Dr. Lee Cowden was your Richard Horowitz was my Dr. Lee Cowden. So Dr. Richard Horowitz is a teacher on the Lillian McDermott radio show. And that was another thing that Cassie and I found that we have in common.
Right.
And there are teachers all over. Dr. Lee Cowden was the one that said to me, you need to take out your implants. And I said, Cassie, I would if I had any symptoms.
Right.
But then shortly after that, that's when I had the third pop in my left breast that, the pain goes away and you don't, you do the MRIs and the ultrasounds and all of that. And what I've learned, and Cassie, yours was disintegrating. What I've learned is that these implants sweat. They sweat the toxins out. And I'm not saying that everybody who has implants rush to get them out. No. What I'm saying is that look at the symptoms, and I could go over the symptoms all day long, but you can do your own research. Go to breastimplantillness.com or Healing Breast Implant Illness and do your research. Become your own MD, your own medical detective. So Cassie,
become your own advocate. If you're not your own advocate, this is one thing, if we can just keep emphasizing and drilling into you, is be your own advocate. And don't let anybody tell you because you're not having symptoms that you're not, because something is being symptomatic in you. You're just not piecing it together.
Yes.
It took me 20 years to piece this thing together. And that is a long time for somebody to have to piece it together and to get to where I'm at.
Yes.
And I mean, if I stick a bottle of water outside, a plastic bottle of water in 100 degrees, would you drink that tomorrow? I'm sure the answer to 100% of you is no. So how could that possibly be safe inside of our chest, even in saline, for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? It doesn't make any sense why we're worried more about our trees and our oceans and throwing plastic outside, concerned about putting plastic inside of human beings. And so that really needs to be looked at, and it needs to be paid attention to and talked about more. Yeah. And so that's why we're doing this today. We're doing this not necessarily just, I've already explanted. She's going to explant. We're doing this so we can educate you guys out there and help you if we can in any way to get your health back.
Yes. And, and again, we stopped at the peas. No, we stopped at the arnica, Montana. Every doctor has their own. And again, please consult with your doctor. We're not experts. We're people who have gone through this journey. And so we're going through it. And fortunately, I'm sorry, Cassie, that you went through it by yourself. I have had, I did my research by myself because I was in so much denial after a certain amount. I just couldn't do the research for myself, that I changed my mindset and I said, okay, let me do it for the show. Let me do it for the classroom. Let me do the research for everybody else. Because isn't that true? We put ourselves last every single time.
Every single time. I still do it. To this very day, I still put myself last. I will say my sister and my mother, they flew to Cleveland to take care of me. And I flew back home, and my husband, was there waiting, but my husband was away working at that time, and I was home being a single mother, and I was having to Uber my son to school because I couldn't even see to drive because my head was so foggy and cloudy. I couldn't even see. I have complete clarity, everything back. All of that is completely gone.
So the vision.
But I still have symptoms of, problems happening inside with my labs, with my thyroid and things like that.
But that's because of the medicalization. And I'm thinking that the women, and let's finish the pre-op and then we can make a little comment before we go to the post-op.
We passed the piece too. So we're
past the piece, and we got you mentioned CBD.
Not yet. So that's something I wanted to discuss. I know, a lot of people think it's like a drug. It's actually from a different part of the plant, and it is amazingly healer for a reduction of inflammation inside your body. It is natural. It is not something, it's much better to take than pain medicine. It relieves pain, it reduces inflammation, and I highly recommend it if you can get it. You can get a medical license if you need. I am going to state this though, that you should get it from a person place that is well known, that the plants are monitored to make sure no mold and things are growing on them and such. It needs to come from pharmacy, a place that is making it, that is, been tested and that is overseen by, people who are doing this. The government now has it where it's overseen and stuff, but you want to make sure you're taking a CBD that you just don't go get from somebody and say, oh, here, take this, try this. You don't know what's in that bottle or where it was made and who made it and what plant it came from. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you know where it came from and where the resource of it goes back to and what lab it came from. It's very important that you do your research even to that point on the CBD level. Yes. I've been on CBD now for the past 3 years. It has reduced my inflammation. My doctor was amazed. In 6 weeks, it reduced my inflammation 100 points. And that is miraculous because it took me 1.5 years to get that 100 points there. Yeah. So every 6 weeks they tested me and I was up higher and higher, all the way up to 150. So I went down 100 with the CBD in 6 weeks. And so it's very important that you know where the plant and the trees.
It's interesting. When I went to see Dr. Rankin, when my the first experience of the popping, the release of air was when I had the car accident. And of course the seatbelt was on there. And because I had the 4 herniated discs, the concussion and all the spinal compression and the left torn tendon, that's what was the focus. And eventually the pain went away in the chest. But then 3 months after the accident, that poof came open again. I felt it again. And, you do the MRI now it's time to focus on that. And it's time to focus on other things. It's just, there were so many symptoms with my left breast that, but I didn't identify all the other symptoms, just the pain with the left breast. But, when I went to see Dr. Rankin and he said I could prescribe medication for you for the pain, I said, no, I don't want pain medication. Is there anything natural I can take? And he said CBD. Well, I have CBD oil that I got from my daughter-in-law, Misty Blue Day. She also sells CBD. It's organic, and so I bought it from her a long time ago. But I never really took it. I really never took it because I didn't see a difference in me. I didn't notice. But let me tell you, when I got the pain, and that's what Dr. Rankin said. And I said, well, let me try it. It allowed me to be able to sleep because I couldn't even sleep for
Right, it does help you sleep.
So,
a car accident too. And I wanted to address that with you really quick. I think, anything traumatic that happens in your life to your body, even if you have a lot of anxiety and if you have a lot of things happening in your world, these things deteriorate your health, which actually make you more susceptible to have BII, breast implant illness, quicker. And so it can exacerbate the symptoms. And I think this is what happened with me and Lillian. Yep. I was actually five weeks explanted, filming the documentary, which is coming out called Busted, that we're all a part of, that we are showing the truth behind breast implants and how toxic they are and what they're doing to women. And 5 weeks, I was on my second day of filming that, I got rear-ended by a couple of very large trucks on the freeway to go get my husband from the airport to come and be on the show, to be filmed for the documentary. So I was taken to the hospital, but I was in an accident years prior to that with the saline implants. And it was after that I had a lot more symptoms, even more so arise. And so that does exacerbate, and anything like that can exacerbate symptoms. Even exercise alone, sadly, it can exacerbate symptoms for people with implants. And that's why a lot of these people who do bodybuilding, they go get implants, they end up being really sick. A lot of women's in these groups, I notice, are bodybuilders and they're health fitness, people, and they have the implants and they're all bedridden or, can't do their normal daily routines and things. Yes. Mothers, it's really hard on us as mothers to do, juggling, being and taking care of all of these things, and then also trying to maintain our health and their health as well. Yeah. So, but CBD, yes, is a highly recommended to take for pain, along with the arnica if pain medicines are not your thing or your way.
Pain medicine is not my thing. So I have a question. Thank you, Joanna, for asking your question. She has a question for you, Carrie. It says, did you take the CBD pre and post explant?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
I'm going to go find it again because I haven't taken it in a while, so I'll take it with me. I'm doing like a little suitcase right now. I've like, you know what it reminded me of?
What?
When I had my children, they told us that, you know, you can have the baby at any time. You have to have like a little suitcase already planned where you have the going away outfit and, you know, your own stuff and your makeup and all the little things that you do when you have that little suitcase. Well, I remember when I got my implants, I used to call them the twins. You know, I had twins, and it was pretty. You know, it was you don't get implants to get sick. You get the implants because you want to, you know, enhance.
You want to look better.
Yeah.
You think it's going to enhance your beauty, you know, on the outer appearance, when we have realized now that inner beauty is the most beautiful thing that somebody can obtain.
And you can agree that the person who implanted is not the person who is standing in front of me today. So when I implanted, you know, I wish that there was like something that we can do and say, hey, if you want to get breast implants, fine, get them. But before you get them, answer your why. Are you feeling incomplete? Well, maybe the implants aren't the answer. Maybe you can do some personal growth. There are other ways. Now, that's me now saying that. But back then, man, I wanted those implants.
Throw them in, cheapest doctor, whatever, just give them to me. You just, you know, you don't think when I'm talking to a girl right now who got hers when she was 16 years old. And yes, overseas, a lot of these people overseas can do them really young. And even here, I'm living in Durrell, Florida. I'm going to be honest with you. I see a lot of these Spanish. I live in a very, very Spanish-filled community, and it's very, very big among the Spanish community to do a lot of implants and, you know, transfers and, you know, things like that.
Right.
And 16-year-olds even have them. I've even noticed here, you know, young girls that are, you know, not even fully developed. I didn't even know I wasn't fully developed even at that time. And, you know, now I know because I'm fully developed and looking at what I am today after they came out, and she didn't do anything but take them out. And I still have, you know, enough to get away with, and it's more than I started with. So I never was fully done growing. And I think it's important that women, they just understand that this is not something that is going to really enhance you. It might do it for a moment and build your confidence, but when that confidence goes out the window with your health, it's like none of it matters anymore. The only thing that matters is your health and your family, and having your life, you know, having your life as your life back as normal as you possibly can for you and your family's sake.
Yes.
So it's very important that we all understand and know that, you know, women need to have self-confidence. It's a very big topic that, you know,
and that could be a classroom, you know, in the future. So that we embrace that anyway, because that's who I am today. Like, I had to change my mentality and say, well, the person who implanted is not the person I am today. I just needed to change my idea about the implants themselves. I want to thank Patrick. You just sent me a message. Thank you so much for your love and prayer and support. Thank you, Veronica, for all the love and all of you who have given us so much support, or given me so much support coming out and sharing my health crisis, my health journey. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to pause the recording for YouTube, and then we're going to restart it. We're going to stay on Facebook.
Can I add one more thing in really quick that
yes.
I think people need to know is that we need to make sure that they know that they need to be full of electrolytes also, just just to cover the pre-op stuff. I want to make sure that they understand that they have to have a good BPA-free drinking water. Whether I'd like to Sentia personally, that's what I order, but there is something you can order, or you can get it from Whole Foods or whatever. It's called NUUN. It's a droplet of electrolytes. Electrolytes are amazing for your blood pressure. You need to make sure that you have enough electrolytes daily And so it's very important that you have those ahead of time. So make sure you get your bottles of water ahead of time, because you're going to be drinking only water and your drinks along with that from, Raw Generation or wherever you choose to get from, and the salads, or if you choose to do that, or a soup. But make sure to do that with the electrolytes. It's NUUN, and it's an electrolyte that you drop, it dissolves, and they're flavored. And you can flavor your water up a little bit. It's 100% organic, and it helps with people who have tachycardia and things like that happening from breast implants.
Very nice. Great tip. One thing that I've been doing much more, and this tip came from, I don't know if it was Dr. Cowden or if it was Dr. Grable. I can't remember who it was that shared this with me, but they told me, I can't remember. Maybe it was Dr. Day. I can't remember. But she said, or they said, that to take coconut water. And you have to be careful when you drink coconut water, because many of the coconut water have things added. So I want the 100% coconut water, and that has great electrolytes as well. So there's so many different things that we can do to empower ourselves for recuperating and healing. So this concludes the and so I hope that you like it, you follow it, you share it, and help us grow the classroom. So we're not done with this conversation. Part 2 is coming right up. So let's just say goodbye to the YouTubers for now. And I'm going to stop the recording.